The Chargers are playing their biggest game of the season on Sunday, and if they want to pull off the win, they may have to do it without first-round pick Omarion Hampton.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day as part of the #1 sports podcast network. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, unfortunately, Omarion Hampton has missed the first couple of days of practice this week. We all know that he's been working off to the side, and hopefully he's doing everything he can to get back on the field for Sunday night because they definitely need him. On the defensive side, they have to frustrate Drake Maye. They cannot let him get into a rhythm. They got to do some things to get him out of that rhythm, because if they don't, it could be a very long night. And of course, we wrap this thing up with our bold and game predictions.
And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode, so visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner in the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. David, unfortunately, we get to this Keys for Success show, and the biggest story still out there this week is if Omarion Hampton is going to play. And I do think, obviously, Kamani Vidal has shown us so much this year that you have faith that there's a chance he can go out there and do what you need him to do, if you need him to. But he's, has been banged up too. They held him back a little bit last week, only had a few carries. But they really need Omarion Hampton to be out there. And I think the hard thing about this week is it is the playoffs. So you don't know what, a do not practice 2 of the 3 days so far, or 2 days this week, means they're not going to play, right? Because it has to feel like, to me, that if there's any chance he can go, right? Like if he's close to being good to go, you at least give him the opportunity to work it out on Sunday and potentially try to, right? Because it's hard to kind of understate how important it would be for them to have Hampton in this backfield for this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, there's no tomorrow. If there's any chance for him to go out there and not feel like he's going to have a long-term type of injury because of it, then you got to go. It's all hands on deck. We need absolutely everybody available and going out there and giving everything that they have to contribute to a Chargers victory. And, the rushing attack is definitely extremely important, and especially the way you kind of have to run the ball against this Patriots front, it really lends itself to somebody who can really access the edge like Omarion Hampton can.
Yeah, and we all have seen it, right? Once he gets that edge, like that gear that he can kick it into is just something they don't have without him. And I mean, this is also a Patriots defense that, has allowed over 160 yards rushing in 3 out of their last 4 games, an average of 131.3 yards per game over that stretch. And that's over the last 8 games. So, if the Chargers can get 130 yards, I think you like that, right? Over the first 9 weeks, those was a defense that only allowed 75.4 yards per game. So, whether that's attrition, injuries, whatever, they haven't been the same against the run over the back half of this season. And it feels like for this Chargers offense, that's the easiest way they could find a big success or an Achilles heel to this defense. And should be getting Tucker Fisk back activated off IR with those extra slots available to them now that they're in the playoffs. That would be help. Maybe even him and Will Dissly, you get out there for this really cold January football game, but the Chargers are going to have to be able to run the football. And I think the hard thing with Omarion Hampton is we heard from Greg Roman in his press conference that he would be involved in some way in Thursday's practice, and then you just see it's another DMP on the report, and he's just working off to the side. So I don't know if you can hold the normal metrics of what it would take to be out there as far as total practice time for him, but I think that is why also you did hear Greg Roman say that mentally he's ready to go. So if they can get the okay by their training staff, he will be out there, and I firmly believe that. So although it looks like a long shot at this point, I would not rule him out. But as far as the keys to success go, David, I think, fair or not, there's one guy that has to step up big in this game, and it's Justin Herbert. Hopefully, the Chargers put him in advantageous situations, try to attack the base packages of the Patriots defense, try to get them on early downs when they have more of those big bodies out on the field, because they will put them out there to try to slow down a running game. And I do think like I said, fair or not, I hope that Justin Herbert doesn't have to be in superhero mode the entire game, right? And doesn't have to put on Superman's cape. But there's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 plays, David, where it's going to have to be him, where he's going to have to put the offense on his back, where he's going to have to give this offense a spark. And after, a 4 interception game in his last performance, right, in the playoffs, he needs to wash that out. And like, if he wants to stop the narrative about him not being able to win a playoff game, he has to be good. It doesn't mean he has to, throw for 400 yards, but it's almost impossible for me to see the Chargers winning this game if Herbert has a bad game.
Yeah, no, Justin has to show up. No question about it. And he's motivated to do so. I mean, the last performance was one of the worst games, not only in the playoffs, but one of the worst games of his football career.
Yeah.
Period. Ever. So he wants to wash that away. And I know that he is focused and ready to go show up and play his best football. And that also means not repeating the mistakes of the past. Like, he didn't run a single time against the Houston Texans in the playoffs last year. That absolutely just can't happen. It's been a big part of the Chargers' success this year with him being, basically the second leading rusher on the football team. Justin Herbert's ability to extend plays and go out there and go get first downs and keep this offense on the football field is incredibly important. And, one of the ways to do that is you have to feature your playmakers. Scheme up plays for McConkey and be intentional about getting him the football. You know how dangerous he is. You know what he is capable of doing in the open field. Attack down the field with Quentin Johnston. That's what they've been doing. That's what he's been having success with. Get the ball out quickly. Have a better plan to get the ball into the hands of your playmakers so that way they can take some pressure off the offensive line and off of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, and I would also add into that, like, if you're Greg Roman, don't underestimate their pass rush, right? Because, like, the one kind of narrative that's, going around, and like, I agree to it to a certain extent, like, that there's some monster defensive fronts out there that you didn't want to see going up against the version of the Chargers offensive line that they have out there right now, right? At the same time, that was the narrative around the Jaguars when they went into that game, because the Jaguars were tied for the least sacks in the league going into that one, and all they did was just entirely dominate the Chargers offensive line the entire game and just never gave them a chance. And even more than that, it was the one game that, like, it felt like it got to Justin Herbert a little bit, right? He airmailed that throw to McConkey before they ended up just putting Trey Lance in because the game was already over.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate it, Greg, because the thing is, the week before that, they had gone heavy packages. They went all protection mode for Justin Herbert against the Steelers because they knew what the pass rush was going up against them, and they made a plan for it. Like, I need a plan for the pass rush, even if you don't think that they have the guys to get to him. I'm telling you, we know what this offensive line is. There's no defensive front that can't have a good game against what the Chargers are putting out there. So, Greg Roman, get some sleep, right? Said he's been waking up at 2:30 a.m., every injury, he's had to wake up 30 minutes earlier than the week before to help himself get ready. And
it's a late night game, so hopefully we don't have that problem.
That was a lot of excuses, man. Like, yeah, this guy, and don't forget I lost this guy and this guy as well. But I agree to your point that you had, though, because I do have a key, which is just feed playoff lad, right? Like, if there was one guy that actually came through and could not be put any blame on for the game against the Texans, it's McConkey, who had 9 catches for $197 and is the most explosive player in playoff history. I mean, he's 1 for 1. He's batting 1,000 on having monster games. I just have to hope there's something up Greg's sleeve that they've been maybe holding back because of all the weapons that they have available to them. But, like, if the Chargers offense sputters in this game and McConkey ends up with 4 or 5 targets, like, it's going to be incredibly infuriating. There's a reason he still ended up being your leading receiver, right? And there was many times it didn't look like that was going to happen, but that is exactly how it ended. So you have other guys. I can't have this game, them going down in this game without featuring McConkey.
Yeah, no question about it. He's got to be a big part of the offense. And part of that with McConkey and your other weapons is attacking the safeties, especially. Marcus Jones gave up the most touchdowns on this Patriots team, 7 of them, and also gives up a quarterback rating against of 116.8. Their other safety, Craig Woodson, has allowed 7 touchdowns and has a passer rating allowed of 135.2.
Jesus.
That's almost 15 touchdowns between the two safeties. So if you have an advantageous matchup and it's on one of those guys, take advantage.
Yeah, and we know, they have Christian Gonzalez, who's a really, really good cornerback. We know their defense has played really well, and it's just hard because they've played such terrible quarterbacks that it's very hard to kind of get a true reading on them. But there's one thing that's not hard to get a reading on, and that is Drake Maye, because he has been excellent so far this year, and he is, maybe going to win an MVP award. And the Chargers have to take away some of the easy stuff and frustrate him and get to him. Most importantly, we're going to talk about that and the Chargers having to man up in the running game and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. David, it's time to flip things over to the defensive side here, and I think there's a lot of different ways that you could go about what the Chargers need to do defensively in this game to find some success against what has been a high-powered offense so far this year, led by a quarterback that, is top 2 at the very worst in MVP voting. And I think it just starts with him, right? I mean, you watch Drake Maye, you see a lot of similarities to the guy that the Chargers have back there behind center, right? They're both big arms, can move faster than you think they are. Both of them, 2 of the leading scramblers in the league so far this season. But it's not just one thing with Drake Maye, because Maye has 9 more scrambles than any other quarterback in the league. But he also will take those deep shots and has an incredibly good deep ball. So it's not just one thing. You can't just stop the scrambling. You can't just stop the deep balls. You have to be able to stop that. And also, they get the ball out of his hands incredibly quick a lot of times. So it's also about trying to stop the easy stuff, make him have to, think a little bit, trying to confuse him a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I wrote down is don't give him the super easy completions where you can just 2-step drop and fire to a wide receiver for an easy 6 to 8 yards, which happened repeatedly in every single game. When they were cooking, when they were moving the ball down the field with ease, it was because they were just boop, drop, fire, and the ball was out and in the receiver's hands. You got to play some man coverage. You press these receivers. Don't give them a lot of those cushions where they can get those easy completions. You have to kind of mix that up, but also don't be lulled to sleep. As Daniel said, Drake Maye does like to throw the ball deep. 62 attempts of 20-plus yards or more, and is completing over 54% of those passes with 9 touchdowns to only 1 interception. And also have a really good third and long rush plan. The Patriots have done an excellent job of scheming up their pass protection to perfection to allow them to complete way more 3rd and 8 pluses than they ever should have this season. They do a great job of that. The Chargers have to confuse them, frustrate them in those situations, and they have to do that obviously with the pass rush.
Yeah, 100%. When kept clean, Drake Maye's passer rating this year is 123 with 25 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, right? So, you have to be able to put pressure on him, and you see him standing in these pockets. And you know why it's going to be a tough game. That offensive line has only been credited for more than 10 pressures one time in their last 10 games. That's how good it's been. That's even without Will Campbell, their first-round pick. But, you go back to that Ravens game, and it's Drake Maye might give you some chances, though. If you can heat him up, he will give you some chances. He had 3 turnover-worthy passes in that game. They had multiple turnovers in that game, which might have been a loss had Lamar Jackson not had to leave the game with injury. But, this is the crazy thing. Justin Herbert has 13 interceptions this year. He only has 15 turnover-worthy passes, right? So he's gotten incredibly unlucky. Drake Maye only has 8 interceptions, but he has 17 turnover-worthy throws. So more than twice the amount of throws basically that could have been intercepted were actually intercepted. He's actually put the ball in more danger than Justin Herbert, and Herbert has 5 more interceptions this season. It doesn't mean you won't have your chances, and the Chargers have some guys who have been incredibly opportunistic. The other thing is man, this team go for the football. This team fumbles. Drake Maye fumbles. 9 fumbles so far this year. 17 and 30 career games for Drake Maye. Ramondre Stevenson, who we'll talk about, also had 7 fumbles last year. Man, the Chargers seem to be one of the worst teams in the NFL at punching the football out. Derwin James, I put it on you. Go get the ball, man, because this team will present it to you, and that could flip the game. But I do think the next part of it, David, you talked about it a little bit yesterday. You just can't let the running backs take over this game. Like, this is December football or January football, cold football. It's supposed to be under 30 degrees in New England on Sunday night. If you let the Patriots run on you, they will continue to run on you, right? This is a team that's put up over 200 rushing yards in 2 of their last 4 games, 155 in 3 of their last 4 games. So we talk about them as passing, passing options as well, and those checkdowns are getting, 9 yards a pop on seemingly. But the Chargers can't let them take over the game in the running game or the passing game.
Yeah, 2 really good running backs with Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, 1,514 rushing yards and 16 rushing touchdowns between them, including
and different
67 receptions, 566 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air as well. And both these guys can run like actual wide receiver type routes, and they use them in those type of situations. So the Chargers need to be hyper vigilant about where they're at, where they're lining up, and, put the proper respect of covering them with the type of players that need to be out there to do so. Also the tight ends. I mean, Hunter Henry, old Charger, old friend alert there. Very heavily involved in the game plan, very much a focal point of the offense, him and Hooper as well, both big-time targets of Drake Maye. So you have to be good at tackling in space. You can't let these guys get loose, get extra yards, because they're going to be looking for them. They are looking to get the ball. If Drake Maye can't find his first read, he's going to break it down to a running back or a tight end.
Well, it's just been one of the things the Chargers have struggled with, right? Is the open field tackling and giving up yards after the catch. Like, this is not a good matchup for them. These corners on the outside are going to have to go in and make tackles. These linebackers have to cover ground quickly and be able, because the thing is, like, you can't take away the deep middle of the field with your linebacker and have him going and run into the flat to try to take a running back out, right? So, like, it has to be good. You have to get it from everybody. And, like, that's the thing. Like, the Patriots, one thing I've noticed just, in their games that I've watched, the recent ones, I paid less attention to the ones that they blew out the team immediately. But they're not afraid to get big bodies on the field and try to bully you a little bit, right? So, like, you're just going to have to man up and play big boy football to a certain extent if you're this Chargers defense, and not let what happened to you against the Jaguars and the Colts and the Commanders happen to you in this game. You got to stop the run, and that has a lot to do with winning on first down, making this team face a lot of third downs when you have to, right? But I also have the Chargers corners needing to have a big game, because the Patriots do have Stephon Diggs, who is a borderline, I think, wide receiver one. Like, I don't think he's a big time alpha receiver, even though he's played exceptionally well for them. But I mainly say that just to say there's a bunch of guys. Like, they just have a bunch of guys that contribute. It's one of the more impressive things about this Patriots team. I have 4 guys with over 550 yards. They have 9 players with over 200 receiving yards on that team. LA spreads the football around. They have 5 players with over 200 receiving yards. So there's not really like one guy you can take away to be able to stop this passing attack, because it is the running backs and the tight ends. But I think of the Chargers corners, who have been really good so far this year, Benjamin St-Juste and Tarheeb Still and Dante Jackson, thank God, a full participant on practice on Thursday, which is huge for the Chargers. Cam Hart. Like, it's going to be on all these guys to go make some plays and have sticky coverage, because with that offensive line they have, they're not going to be able to get home every time. And on those drives, it's going to have to be those cornerbacks making plays.
Yeah, no question. Whistle to whistle, it's going to be very important for these guys to make sure they stay in that hip pocket. And whenever Drake Maye does put the ball in harm's way, that they go out and they go try to grab it and give it back to Justin Herbert on a short field. That's going to be huge. Obviously, the pass rush has to help with that. And for me, they need to target the left side. I mean, the rookie left tackle Will Campbell's given up 5 sacks. The left guard Jared Wilson's given up 4 sacks. And Will Campbell has pretty short arms for a left tackle. It's 32 5/8. Khalil Mack has, 33 1/4, and the big one here is Odafe Owe, who has 34.5-inch arms. I think you put Khalil Mack over there and you bull rush the heck out of Will Campbell a lot and really test his anchor and see what he's like, and then also make him have to deal with the arm length of Odafe Owe and really frustrate him and use those long arms and that speed that he's able to bend around the edge. I think if you want to set up your pass rushes, I think you want to take advantage of that left side.
Yeah, I agree with it. Have to test it, but you just can't let him sit back there. But, I mean, one kind of bonus thing here is just we don't have a special teams part of it, but J.K. Scott has to be very careful when he's punting, because, distance will be good. Hang time is going to be the most important thing, because say what you want about Marcus Jones as a safety, He also has the highest punt return average in NFL history.
Yeah, really
averaging
good.
14.3 yards per punt return. And he already has 2 punt return touchdowns this season.
Yeah.
JK, need you
Yeah.
in this one. Cameron Dickeroff also, hey, it might come down to you, buddy. Got to be ready for when that moment comes. But we still have more to get into, including our bold and our game predictions. Can Justin Herbert light up this Patriots defense? We're getting into all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets that you like the most, which is awesome. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you some more juice for the bets that you were already going to make. And if you like the Chargers this weekend, they're still holding strong, plus 3.5. That means losing by more than a field goal in this game. I like the Chargers plus 3.5. Will they pull it off? You'll have to wait and see. But you make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Let's be real, managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control, and who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I was shocked when Rocket Money showed me that I was paying for some passes to a theme park that I completely forgot about and had not gone to in over a year. So already saved me some money there. But one of the other things about it that I love is that it even consolidates your checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. All right, David, well, it's time to get into our bold predictions here, and we have some really fun ones today. I love that the Everydayers came out and contributed for this NFL version, the last, show of the week, but the first of the playoff version of this team where the Chargers are 0-0, looking to make a run and looking to defy the odds and pull off a huge upset on Sunday, which I'm so excited to potentially be back here Sunday night talking about Justin Herbert getting that first playoff victory if they can get it done. But let's get to the Everydayers here, and let's get to some of these bold predictions, including this one from Ascending EV, who says Justin Herbert throws for 300-plus yards and 2 touchdowns. Chargers win. David, it's a pretty tough secondary they're going against, at least statistically. They have only let one quarterback throw for over 300 yards against them so far this season. Do you think Justin Herbert can be the second?
I think he definitely can be the second quarterback to do it. I know Justin Herbert wants to come up in here and get a big-time victory for his football team, for his legacy. Obviously, he doesn't really care about the personal achievements, but he does want to have that team success. And if he does throw for 300 yards on this defense, then I feel very confident that the Chargers are going to go into Foxborough and leave with that playoff victory.
Yeah, and I don't know if I think the hard thing is just not knowing what you're going to get from the rest of the offense, right? Because in a perfect world, you don't need Justin Herbert to throw for 300 passing yards to run a good offense, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully the run is contributing. Hopefully he's running the football as well. Maybe 300 yards of total offense may be more important for him with the rushing yards, and I think that is something he can attain. And I think it's about him just trying to kind of ride that fine line between not trying to do too much, but knowing that this team's best chances to win and for him to get that first playoff victory is him taking it on himself and making some special plays. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how he flirts, and skirts that line a little bit, but I definitely think he can do it. We know he can, but also he's only thrown for 300 yards once over his last 9 games. So it'd be something we haven't seen in at least a while. I like this one here from Hunter Palermo. At least 2 rookies for the Chargers offense will have touchdowns. This one becomes a lot more interesting because, if Omarion Hampton doesn't play, that obviously takes away the most likely rookie to get into the end zone making the most likely options Rondé Gadsden and Trey Harris if the Chargers want rookies to be getting in for 6.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, with the Patriots red zone defense the way that they're at, this is a place where they should be scheming up opportunities for Rondé Gadsden II to be utilized and weaponized in the red zone for sure. And Trey Harris as well. He's done a great job on those third down situations. Why not see what he can do in the red zone? We saw what he almost had that amazing toe tap catch in Denver. Unfortunately, the ball hit the ground, but that was an incredible play and an awesome effort. Yeah. So what he's capable of doing there. And, hey, you got to step up your game, right? You want to have your guys show up in the big moments and, of course, in the most important places, and that's the red zone. Once you get in there, you got to score, and I love the rookies' abilities and hope they give them a couple of opportunities to show it.
Yeah, man, and I think like more than anything, with how big of impact players the Chargers have had as rookies in 2025, you're going to need them to not play like rookies, and that's the hard thing, right? Because I think you saw it in that game against the Texans, where it's just like Rondé Gadsden, you feel for him, right? But like he's playing, in situations he's just never been in, and that's why I think that game was so important even for him to have that tip that gets intercepted, to take points off the board for the Chargers, to really let that moment sink in. And also in that game, being able to come back from it, which I thought was equally important, because he made a couple of big catches down the stretch of that game that really helped them make it close again. So they're going to have their rookies make an impact. I mean, I could see it. 2 touchdowns from those 2 specific guys is tough. If Omarion Hampton's out there, I think it's even more likely. But let's get to this one here from Jalen May, who says, Tarheeb still gets his first pick of the year Sunday night, and the defense has a feast with 2 total turnovers. Not a team that turns it over a ton for the Patriots, but also, David, on the flip side of that, the Chargers defense has been thriving off turnovers over the last month and a half.
One of the better teams in the league at getting their hands on the football, which was in stark contrast to last year's defense. But this year's defense, the Chargers have multiple guys that have multiple interceptions, so they can definitely get their hands on the football. One guy, obviously, we haven't seen yet so far is Tarheeb Still, but that's because they don't want to go at him. I think his passer rating allowed is under 75. So Tarheeb Still not getting picked on a lot, but that's because he's doing his job. But the one thing we know about Drake Maye is he is not afraid to throw it deep and challenge a secondary. And Tarheeb Still is one of those players where he kind of invites it. He wants you to try to test him so he can go up there and show what kind of ball skills he has.
Yeah, and I think and hope that the big touchdowns the Chargers allowed to the Texans to start that game off really have them focused in on it this week. And more than that, I think they're going to go deep. That wasn't necessarily what the Texans were known for when they kind of came out and
that was a little shock and awe. Yeah,
if you're not expecting Drake Maye to go deep, then you're not game planning correctly. Yeah. They're going to take those shots. And when you take those deep shots, and as accurate as Drake Maye has been, and man, he has put some drops in a bucket on those deep balls. Like some of them, the one he made, I think it was Matt Collins. I don't remember who it was against the Ravens on that front pylon throw, where the guy's just the receiver's falling out of bounds, catching it. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah.
But when you throw it up like that, and it's well covered, and you're just taking chances, it can get intercepted, right? And he does have 17 turnover-worthy passes so far this season. And it would be great to see Tarheeb Still get his first pick after maybe an underwhelming season just in that department, right?
Yeah.
To get it in a playoff game would be better. But maybe the other player getting the other turnover is a familiar name to this show. This is from Ivan, who says, Unk has a pick. T-Jeff in the house getting a pick. Man, that would be awfully fitting for how impactful he's been this year.
Last year in the playoffs, Tony Jefferson turned all the way up.
Underrated,
he was on fire, and he was making plays all over the place. So that this is personal for him. And that, obviously where he's at in his career, who knows how many other chances he's going to have. We know that he retired already, left, came back, and has played absolutely fantastic football, has 4 interceptions on the season, which I don't think anybody could have expected that type of
No, how
ball
could you?
production
How could
from
you?
Tony Jefferson, man. That's a really awesome situation for him. And I just love the way he plays. He plays with an attitude, with violence. I think he's one of those guys that sets the tone along with Derwin James in the backfield. And, of course, they get their dog back in the middle, Denzel Perriman, after a bogus 2-game suspension to bring that physicality and violence back to the second level where they have Tier Tart on the interior, the defensive line. So they have some violent football players at every single level. Tony Jefferson's one of those guys that just is always in the right place at the right time. So I can absolutely see him grabbing an interception.
And isn't afraid to lay the lumber. I mean, he had 4 interceptions his entire career leading up to this year and had 4 this year. A special season, if you think back to, I mean, the last couple, the one that he had on the sidelines that Dante Jackson tipped back into bounds, the game-sealing interception against the Eagles in that game, opportunistic to say the least. But none of those were the boldest predictions yet, because we have one more for you guys going into this playoff game.
Dave, I am not drinking that Kool-Aid from my coach. Nothing wrong with Omarion. He is my player of the game. I'm going 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chargers win 27-23. Let's go, baby.
That'd be crazy if the Chargers had nothing wrong with Omarion Hampton. But I do think there is something that I wanted to bring up from that, which is basically, if he does play, what version of him are you going to get? You know what I mean? Because even if he does play, I'm not sure I'm expecting that kind of performance. But, man, it does feel like he has an opportunity to break off some big plays if he can get anywhere close to 100%. But, yeah, that's pretty bold considering we don't even know if this guy is going to play or not. But, David, you already gave your prediction earlier this week. You said this is where Justin Herbert gets his first playoff win. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, I think for the Chargers, this is a team where the Patriots haven't seen a team that plays this level of defense. They have played 0 top 10 scoring defenses at all on their entire schedule. This Chargers defense, their secondary, coupled with their pass rush, and the mad scientist Jesse Minter scheming it up, I think it's going to be too much for Drake Maye to process. I think he's going to frustrate them offensively. Justin Herbert is going to answer the bell against a pass rush that is not nearly as potent as some of the pass rushes that he has seen, as well as getting his left tackle back, Jamari Sawyer, who was a full participant in practice. I think the protection is going to give him enough time, and I have the Chargers and Justin Herbert picking up his first playoff victory with a score of 28-21.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about their chances. If they're putting up 28, it feels like the defense you trust them enough to hold them under 28, and that's what gives me some faith in this game. But man, it's crazy for the Chargers to be missing the big time star quarterbacks that aren't in this playoffs and get a 14-3 MVP Drake Maye team in the first round. But this is what they wanted, and I think the hard thing is just you have a team that's been great on both sides of the ball, and it's hard to know if it's valid or not. And the Chargers have been a much better defensive team than they have been offensive team. And it is a matchup game. The Patriots can put up some points, and it's just really hard. Of course, I want to pick the Chargers to win this game, but at the same time, it's going to be so hard, and it feels like people are underestimating this Patriots team. It feels like all the Patriots fans wanted the Chargers in the first round. All the Chargers fans wanted the Patriots in the first round. But at the end of the day, I have to pick what I think is going to happen, and that's why I have the Chargers winning 27-24. Justin Herbert gets the monkey off his back, and we're here Sunday night with a victory post-game show. 3 times in the playoffs, and you're telling me Justin Herbert's going to go 0-3 with Jim Harbaugh by his side this time? I don't see it happening. I have the Chargers winning 27-24, and I can't wait to see it. But that's going to wrap things up for today's show. We're back with you guys Sunday night, regardless of the outcome. But to make sure you don't miss it, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from, as well as finding the show every day on all of our social media at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. David didn't know I was going to do that. I got him. And we'll be back with you guys on Sunday night. I can't wait to see it. Go get it done, 10. Stop the narrative now, and then go get the Broncos next week, and we'll go from there. But I can't wait to see it. Make sure you guys are back here Sunday night. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.